turn a brief from brief to brand in an hour and a half.
Okay, all right. So, are we ready at the back? We're ready. Okay, so without further ado, I'll hand the mic over to.
I don't think I'm going to use this.
You're not going to use this.
Gaspel, am I on? What?
Okay.
Because I need both hands.
Right. Okay. So, Cleopas, take over.
This one is going to be tough. I know I'm tough. Because I'm trying to do a lot in a really short time across about 4 different disciplines, I need to know where I'm going to gravitate towards more. So I want to get a weight of the room. How many of us here are graphic designers? Okay, that's a good chunk of the room. Photographers? Okay, some designers are also photographers. How about cinematographers, filmmakers, videographers, digital marketers, copywriters, directors, set design, web design? I know web designers right here. Okay. I designed the course in a way that almost anybody here can benefit, regardless of what discipline you find yourself in. And that's the best I could do to make sure that when you're out of this room, you, 1, do not feel threatened by AI. 2, you feel like you could do a whole lot more. And 3, you would know that the AI that people are hyping up is not all that. It's a great tool, but I would still say that the most important part of this entire process is the human being behind the process. So for this particular project, we're going to walk through from a beginning, building a brand from brief all the way till production and even post-production. So usually, I like to show what we're going to do before we even get there. So I'm going to show you all the things we're going to do today, and then we'll come back and build it. How does that sound? Great. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to skip, and then come back and introduce myself and start again. So, that's all. Is the sound? Okay, beautiful. All right, so the whole thing started with a simple idea. It started about a year ago when ChatGPT 2.0, I think, or 3.0, I'm not so sure which one it was. It must have been 1.0 when it came in. And I started trying to use it to build brands. Very, very simple process. Use ChatGPT as an image asset generator. If you ever used anything like Envato or FreePic or any of these other tools before, you just go there and download the assets and you use them to work. Simple. So the idea was, how can we do the same with ChatGPT? And I was able to actually do that, which is what we are going to redo today in a whole different way. Now, that was a year ago. Back then, AI was great, but today it's insane. It's crazy. And I'm going to show you exactly what you're talking about. So let's start with, we're going to build this brand. The brand is called America. So before I started, there were 3 things there were 3 ideas on the table. There was a running club, a fashion club, and a fruit juice company. But it seems that the running club won. By someone's advice, I decided to pick the running club. And it just turns out that the running club it's actually in trend. Everyone's running these days. And we were trying to brainstorm on a name, and the name America just came up. And we're going to show you how we built the logo, the concept behind it. So these are some of the assets we've developed so far, everything done with AI. I'm going too fast, but we're going to come back and then check it out. So that's the whole stack for the design side. So we're going to go through it from logo design to colors and everything like that. And then there's also the photography side. Now, this is the Firefly board. We're going to come back to this later. So all of these images were all created here in Firefly, and they became the assets that we use for the graphic design side and everything else. So that's the second component of this whole process. And the last component is we made an ad, also using AI. So if there's an interesting page right here, let me see if we can find it. Where'd it go? Okay. So I'm going to go play the video, and we can watch the video. And then we also will look through exactly how we made that video. What? Yes, the video was made it. In fact, the video has two components. Three. There's the video, there's the sound effects, and there's the music. All were made by AI. And we're going to remake the music here. I actually made the music on my phone. I sang into the phone and turned it into a song. And apparently, America there's a song by, is it Kojo and Chiko America? Yeah, so I picked a little bit of that and then used it to create some amapiano and stuff like that and mix it together to get this final one. So let's watch the video and then we can move. I'm just going to check if the sound is working. Okay, let's go. And then we're going to talk about how the concept came. In fact, I tried not to do as much thinking as possible. I tried to just let the AI direct me in a way. I mean, I did make some few inputs, but it wasn't much. So even the story came up with the whole story and the description. So let's watch it and see.
Run, 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 run. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Run, 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 run. Wake up, 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 wake up. Run, 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 run. Wake up, 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 wake up. Run, run, run.
So it was all a dream. I actually made a typo here. It's supposed to say, your dreams are under your feet. I forgot that when I copied I left it there. But we'll fix it, and we'll put it back in the video, and we'll regenerate it, and we'll see how it works. So that's a full campaign. Design, photography, typography, video, music, and everything else. So now back to the presentation. Are you guys excited for it? Yes. All right. See, I wish we could take questions in between. I'll try and explain my process as I'm going. But then, because I was so ambitious, air quotes, to try and do this thing in an hour and a half, which I would say it's not realistic. It's not. But it's possible if you're in a crunch. So we would leave the questions for the end. That's why the 3 hours actually dropped, because the rest of the time would be for questions. So I'm sure you get all your questions answered. So let's go back to the whole beginning, and then you will have a good idea of where this journey started. So my name is Joshua Cleopas. I'm a designer, filmmaker, storyteller, and most of the time I call myself a transdiscipline creative. It's a new word I'm coming up with because the world we are getting into, as a creative person, you really cannot be a one-size-fits-all type of thing. Back in the day, people used to specialize. I think we're getting into a point where people who are actually going to be paying us money to do what we do will want more for less. And we can't beat the economics. So the best you can do is to make sure that you have as much skill as possible. Now, I'm not advocating for one-man armies. Far from that. What I'm saying is if you have the capacity to be able to do a lot of work with very little aid from other people, if we plug you into a team or a system, it changes everything. And that was my ideology when I started testing out AI, not to eliminate my team, but to see how I can augment their skill sets. And I made a video with that ChatGPT thing that sort of went quite far. The video across all social media platforms had about half a million views. And because of that, someone from Adobe reached out and we started talking about what this interaction could look like and what this connection could look like. So that led me becoming part of the AI VIP community in Adobe. It's a group of 35 creatives worldwide, and I was the only Ghanaian that was selected and African inside the group. And because of that, I have had the privilege to test out AI models way before they come out and to see exactly how it's being built and the type of consideration that's going into it. Now, to be very honest, when we talk about Adobe, I'm not saying this because they are sponsoring this, but we all know we've been using Photoshop and all these tools for a really long time. But then you're not so sure of exactly why these brands are such big brands. And I got to experience it myself live in California last year. And the answer is one thing, it's community. I've never seen a brand so interested in community building than Adobe. They bring the engineers and the creators in one room, and you guys discuss exactly what you want the tools to do for you. And that feedback loop is something that really blew my mind, because initially I thought there were some people somewhere making big decisions and passing them on to us, not knowing the next feature inside Photoshop or Illustrator or Premiere could be coming from you or anyone else in this room. So if your Photoshop crashes and the dialog box comes up and says report, please do type something because someone is reading. It's not just a thing, because I know people just click cancel. People actually do read this thing. So that's where this whole journey started. And I mean, over the years, I've had a chance to work with quite a number of brands. I mostly deal in the corporate space. And another reason why Firefly was one of the tools that really made a big difference for me when it comes to AI work is the fact that it's commercially safe. Now, when we say an AI is commercially safe, what we mean is you are able to use the AI in paid projects. Now, there's a big controversy about how most AI companies train their models. There are a lot of people who say they steal other people's artworks and they put it inside their models as training data, and it comes out the other end as your generation. Now, depending on where you are in the world, this could get you in a lot of trouble. So there are a lot of Chinese models, a lot of other brand models that you just cannot validate where the training data is coming from. So that's one of the big reasons why I like using the AI models through Firefly, because in fact, every single Firefly model or AI model in there is commercially safe. That means you can use it on any project without fearing that one day you wake up and there's a lawsuit on your Dex. It doesn't happen. So I'm able to use it across different brand projects as compared to other ones. And today, we're going to go through this tool stack. How many of you here actively use AI every day? Okay, then it seems that this much is enough. The world of AI, it's a gluttony world. It's all like, they're all just greedy. No one tool does everything, right? So for ideation today, we're going to go with Claude. We're going to build all the ideas with Claude, the branding, the design, every single thing that has a concept behind it is going to come from Claude. Then we're going to go into image generation. There are 3 models we're going to use. The last one, which is called a Magnifique, it's an upscaler, and I'll show you exactly why we're going to use that. But the Firefly is going to be the primary engine in which we're going to build everything. And then the next one is Higgsfield. Now, Firefly and Higgsfield, they are very similar to each other. Firefly is a platform where you get multiple AI models, like multiple. You can get all the Gemini models, the Google models. You can get some Chinese models. You can get so many other models across video, photo, vectors, art, illustration, everything else. And then the second one is Higgsfield. Higgsfield is just like Firefly, except it has way more models. Now, the reason why Higgsfield has way more models is because they don't have as much security as Adobe does. So a new model comes out today, probably the next month or 2, it's on Higgsfield. But then Adobe would take their time to scrutinize how that model got its training data to see if it's also safe for them to add it to their platform. And then the last one is magnifique. Now from there, we're going to move on to audio. Now audio is a big part of the creative process. Music, sound effects, everything like that. We're going to use 11 Labs and another product called Adobe Podcast. The podcast, for some weird reason, decided to team up with Suno down there. He's not supposed to be there. I'll talk to him later about that. And the last one is Suno. Now for Suno, we're going to create live music. So I'm going to sing into my phone, upload it onto the app, add some prompts, and generate the type of music we used to, that was playing in the ad. And then from there, we make the video inside Firefly, but we're going to use Kling, and there's another model that's inside Higgsfield called C-Dance. And then the last thing for the design, which is putting together all the presentations, Photoshop, Illustrator, Express, and Canva. That's the entire process today. Is it too much, or should we take some out? It's good. All right. Now this is going to be a really long one. We are going to start with this. So, oh, I fixed it. It says your dreams are under your feet. Great. Now for any creative project, no matter what you're doing, photography, video design, the one thing that needs to be done extremely well, that you cannot avoid or skip, or even feel like because you are under a time crunch, you are just going to do whatever you can, is your design brief. Your design brief is the soul of everything you're going to do. And for a lot of people, finding out the questions that we even bring out the right answers to create a brief is very difficult. If you live here with me in Ghana, you already know that this is very common, that the clients will bring you work and they don't have a brief. They only have a scope. And the scope is very different from the brief. The scope really just has to do with the information you need to give a price, right? But the brief goes deeper than that. And most clients do not have the knowledge or the experience to give you a brief. And that's how it is. If you start getting really big clients, then they will come with a brief and it makes your life easier. So what you're going to do now is to learn how to create a brief for any project that you're going to do. And for that, I'm going to share a lot of prompts with you guys after this. So this is one prompt that I use to create my briefs. I just call it the VOM brief prompt. And we're going to use, you can put it in Claude, you can put it in ChatGPT, or any capable, emphasis on capable, any capable language learning model, because some models are just very funny. Now, the brief is broken up into very easy, simple parts. But the most important part is the intro says that you're a senior creative director working with VOM Studios. So this is because this is the one I've built for myself. You can put your own company in there, whatever you want. And you are briefing a brand for a design team who will build a full identity system from your outputs. Your job is to produce a complete professional design-ready brand brief in the structure below, and that's the structure. So here, what you will do as a user is you're going to input the brand name, the category, the geography, the target audience, give it a tone, add any cultural language or roots if you have to, competitors or reference brand or anything like that. So this input helps you get a really solid document that at the end of the day, if you give it to any designer, their work is pretty much like 50% done. And what makes this interesting is it also comes up with a strategy. It gives you a really good audience mapping or demographic mapping, and it sets a tone of voice. It gives you photography direction and typography, a color system, a logo system, a belonging system, and a campaign shortlist. And then finally lets you see all the deliverables that you're going to get and gives you something that you can measure everything up to. Now, of course, because we're going to use it for copywriting as well, there are some rules that I give it. The biggest of it all is this one right here. Right? So I always say that no M dashes ever. So use commas, periods, or restructure sentences. No corporate language like unlocking your potential unleashing this, step into, stuff like that. And I'm sure if you use these models a lot, now you can smell AI from a mile away. You can be listening to an ad on Instagram and you're like, oh, that's so AI written. So I always try to keep my own library of new words every time, and I just keep updating my model that let's stay away from this language, like these particular words, because those words sound really AI. Unfortunately, we might get to a point where it begins to sound normal, right? Sometimes people also learn to write with AI or to speak properly with AI. I know, for instance, I never really knew the use of M dashes, but now I do, and sometimes I do use them to make my sentences more clear. So yes, there's a caveat, but not in my brand brief. I just do not want to see it there. And then there's a little how-to. So we're going to go into my Claude and see exactly what it is. So this entire process, this has been my Claude conversation. I'm just going to scroll from the bottom to the top so you see exactly how long we've chatted for all this thing. So that's all us. Don't worry, the screen is tiny. That's why it looks a lot. It's not. But we're going to look at the results of what we had. So the brand brief is where everything came in. And all the prompts, everything came from Claude. Like I said, I was not trying to be too creative with this process. I was just directing and then getting the results and then picking up. If you're a creative person, if you add your creativity to this, then you're on the moon. So after I put in this prompt and gave it the context, now at this point, I had already chosen the brand name, right? At this point, I already knew the category. It was a running club. At this point, I knew the geography. It was a running club in Ghana. It has different branches across all the cities in Ghana. I knew who the target audience was. I knew what tone I wanted to give it, right? So it came up with this. And this is a 13-page brand brief. So we're going to look at the brand brief, and then from there, we'll jump into the design, which is the next thing that we're supposed to do. So from the very beginning, how many of you have used Claude before? Wow. How many of you still use ChatGPT? Wow. I mean, I still use ChatGPT. I mean, we're going to use ChatGPT today, but only for image generation. But for the prompting, I tried both, and most of the time, I really love what Claude will give you, especially when it comes to these documents, because this document came from Claude as a complete thing. I can open it up in my Google Drive and go make changes and edits and everything like that. And this is rather plain. You can actually give it a design system and it will build it in your own branding, add your own logos and everything. So if you want to send a client a brief, a proposal, an invoice, you can put it in here and then you're done. So once you come into Claude for the first time, whenever you're working on a project, I would wish you guys would do it like this. Instead of starting a new chat, you would rather do a project and keep everything inside the project. Now, for instance, I've built one for myself, which is Vom HQ. Now, this is my AI CEO. And I've given it instructions. So these are the instructions I've given it. So it's a Super Vom CEO AI agent instruction. And this is everything that it does for my brand. And I've been able to think around how I wanted to behave and chosen certain people whose leadership structure I like as reference material to build this new AI model. Now, because it's inside my instructions, it's going to sort of obey and work as if it were those people based on those philosophies and principles. So that's pretty much it. Now, the next part is I've given it a lot of personal information about my brand. For instance, these two documents are my company profiles. So it knows everything about my company. It knows everything we are doing right now. If I ask it, what am I doing today? It will probably say, I'm doing this thing right now, because it knows. And then I gave it a pricing guideline and a team guideline. So here it knows everything about my company, like every single thing that's supposed to do. So once you create a project, it allows you to consolidate all your conversations with Claude without it referring to random things. Now, the way Claude works is Claude eats up a lot of the, tokens. And if you're working in a project, it does not go beyond the contents of the project to get what you're talking about. If you're working in chat and you say something, it might attempt to read all your past chats just to get the context of what you're talking about. Now, if you have 500 chats and you're not very concise with your script, your prompt, it might go read all the 500 chats. And the reading is also part of the tokens. The tokens is not only the generation, it's also the reading as well. So it's going to end up reading every single thing. And before you are done, it's going to tell you that your tokens are up, reset, come back tomorrow morning to continue. And that sucks. So working in projects limits the scope of Claude so it doesn't go read unnecessary things. And that's one of the key things you can have, unless you go for the paid model, which also something happens and it says tomorrow. In fact, sometimes it gets, let me give you a typical example of how crazy Claude usage can get. So for this month, May, up until April, we've already spent around $110 on the model itself. Now, this is on top of the subscription that you have already. So if you are not careful on how to prompt and learn how to prompt, and you use Claude like a conversational model that ChatGPT is, your stuff will get finished before you even generate a document. It's not really a conversational model like ChatGPT, where you go and talk to it personally. This is more like your senior staff member that you know you cannot waste his time. You only have him once a week. You go sit down, you open up your documents and your briefing, go like, okay, so this is what we're going to do this entire week. And then you get your documents and then you move. All right. So let's get back to the brand brief and then we can move quickly. So that's it. So the first thing, it gave us a one-liner. Now, a one-liner is usually something like a brand promise, but it's more like a description of what the brand is and what the brand does. Now, for this, I'm not scrutinizing anything here. If I wanted to, I would change some of the words, but this is all from the simple brief and instruction I gave it. So imagine if you're able to give it really good context. So this is, says America is a running club born in Accra named in Tree with chapters across the country. We run when the city is quiet, we leave when it's loud. And it's this poetic language that I kind of love about Claude. It's really natural and it sounds very intentional without it looking too AI-ish, you know? And that's one of the things that I like. And it's here, it says, it's not a gym, it's not a fitness app, it's not a Western import with a kente wrap, a national club in our language for our bodies on our roads. And then the name comes from the Chi word, Mirika, which means to run, and the double M is ours. That was a little thing we added in there. So it gave us a mission, values, vision. It gave us the brand essence, which is the dream is under your feet. So this is the brand essence that we use to develop some of the other artworks. And then it gave us a good audience demographic. It gave us a primary audience, the remembering runner, a secondary audience, the returner, and a tertiary audience, the chapter builder, which is a pretty interesting naming for all these separate audiences, and you can sort of pick them up and then go crazy with them. Now, it gave us a tone of voice. Now, this translates into your design directly. Tone of voice is not only for the written content, it's also for the visual content as well. So here, it gave us the tone, how we sound. So we sound like a friend who pushes you in the morning, then feeds you wachi after. Now again, I didn't even give it any context. This is all Claude. The second thing is a caption that makes you screenshot it and send it to your group chat. Tree and English woven together, never translated, never explained. Short sentences, confident, sometimes funny, often honest. We never sound like corporate, your best self. This is not a wellness center. American fitness influencer, let's get after it, never. Nike with an accent, we're our own thing. A men's magazine, not preachy, not macho. And the signature phrases, it came up with some interesting signature phrases that I doubt. Here it says, yeah, it's good. The post run sign off. And here it's supposed to say, woba, woba. If you are coming, come. I think it was trying to say, oh, bra, ba. I like, oh, bra, bra. But then Claude doesn't speak tree, so but I try. You have to give 1 hour for Claude. And the rally cry and America Pay, running is what we do. That kind of sounds cool. America Pay and stuff. And the dream is under your feet, which was the thesis of the main video. That's why the guy goes to bed, he wakes up, he's actually in a dream. He goes all on the road and finally wakes up and he's like, oh shit. So, and then this is the most interesting part. Brands are super visual, right? So as a graphic designer, one of the things you really need to have under your skill set is be able to have a really solid visual vocabulary, being able to look at things and place them in context. And photography is one of the best ways to train your eye to have really good visual vocabulary. So it gave us a photography direction. So it gave us the motion documentary, it gave us the graphic portraits, the quiet street, and these are the 3 directions that we use to generate all the photos, every single thing. So here, for instance, it says bodies mid-stride, never posed, panning shots, long exposure, motion blur as a feature, not a flaw, shots on Ghana streets, Ghanaian trails, Ghanaian beaches, dawn lights, all of that. So with the photography direction setting, it makes your life easier. If I had to hire real photographers, I'll give them this document, and then they will know what to do for the brand. Now, the next thing was the typography system. It says we're going to use a display font to get the word Mac. We're going to use a different font for the system, and it recommended some fonts here, like Anton, Bebas. We ended up using Bebas. It gave us a weight, all caps, always. So it really gives you details on how to do the work, right? And this is all from that one prompt. We've not done anything else. And then it goes away to give you an accent, which is a rebellion, the marker-drawn graffiti scripts, and I'm sure you guys saw all of these things in the design that we did. And the typography rules that the word mark is sacred, is never stretched, never skewed, never recolored. Now it gave us a color system, gave it a name, Accra Black, gave us the actual color code itself. Come again? This? Can I zoom in actually? Wait, I have a better idea. Let's look at it in Word. Where were we? Color, right? Okay. Is it big enough? Wow. And I thought I needed glasses. So, color system. Now this, I love color, right? It's one of the best ways to express a brand's authenticity and a brand's character. So the color page is usually the page I would beef with Claude a lot. I do not let Claude choose my colors. Like, no. But for this exercise, I just decided to let Claude win. And it turns out the final result was actually quite good. So it gave us all of the colors, it gave us the pop palettes, it gave us a usage rule. So the black and bone are always in the layout, always one pop color per design, which is rather interesting. I broke this rule, by the way, because I was like, please. Never 2, never 3, and I did 3. Because when I saw never 3, I wanted to do 4. That's just me being rebellious. Claude would not control me. But it did, so yeah. And then we went to the logo system. Now this is the interesting part, right? Whenever you have a client, it's hard to determine what type of logos you're going to make. There are logograms, there are word marks, there are brand marks, there are iconograms. Like there's so many options that you can go for. So being able to narrow down what options will work for what brand, this prompt will do that. Because it's going to do the research in the back end on the type of brand you're building, cross-references against all the type of brands online who are in a similar category, and then create something similar to what exists in that industry. For instance, when you look at school logos, they have a certain vibe to them. When you look at tech logos, they have a certain vibe to them. Now, you can't break the rules. That depends on how ballsy you are. But most of the time, staying within a certain framework makes sense, not just for you, but also for your clients. If you're somebody who's very experienced, you can convince your client to take, for instance, a hospital-type logo in a tech-based industry, or a biker club-type grungy logo in a church industry. And I know this is a particular church in Ghana that has a branding that looks like a biker's brand. I don't want to mention them, but they have really good branding. It just feels like a Harley Davidson brand to me, right? And the pastor also has some beard, and he looks like somebody who ride a Harley Davidson. So unless you want to break the rules, you would have a lot of work to do to convince your clients or the person hiring you. But for this brand, instead we're going to go with a word mark that has America. We're going to go with a logogram, like a monogram that has one stylized A. I said no. One A is not going to cut it because it's going to be confused. And it gave us a chapter lockup, which is very interesting. So Claude decided that why don't we create little logos for every part of this brand? This is people in Kumasi who are runners, people in Takrady who are runners, people in Tamale who are runners, and all of that. And that is completely original. Like I said, we only gave Claude the information. Now it's come up with so many ideas on certain things that could make things look good. Now, to me, if I had to do this project with a real client, I would sell this part as a separate project to the client and upsell on that idea because it makes sense and it's a community type brand. So making people feel like they are recognized and acknowledged does change the perception of the entire brand. So it came up with the chapter logos, it came up with a secret mark, and then it gave us rules around it. Now from here, it says, let's do how you join, a belonging system. So it gives us something we call pack numbers. And now every runner gets a number on their first tee. So 047 in Accra, 012 in Tamale, and it's trying to give human beings like codes and numbers. This kind of feels like the kind of numbers you get in the Olympics, but it also gives me Hitman vibes. You know, Hitman Agent 47 vibes. So like, oh, that's something I like. I like where you're going with this. So that's one thing. And then it did the route patches, and we ended up using the routes to create topography map lines in Firefly, and they became design assets like you saw, and we're going to look at all those little things. And then the chapter lockup came in, the language came in, the rituals came in, and then finally the campaign shortlist. So it gave us 5 ideas for campaign. The dream is under your feet. Ghana runs here, named in tree, meet the day before I meet you, and don't run from, we run toward. We don't run from, we run toward. That's very ballsy. Tagline, that doesn't work for me. And then the deliverables, which is usually the final thing that you need. So this part is like the scope. It also adds it in. So you have the brand system, everything you need from here, the campaign asset, the posters, and the 15-second ad. We ended up doing a 1-minute ad and the supporting document. So the brand strategy document, the tool stack, pay plus free AI apps, and how to measure success. And that was it. Now, this is a pretty interesting, solid brand brief. I think any designer will get this document and will not feel lost and will probably know where to start. Now, for me, where I start is always Pinterest. So what I did was, right after this brief, I went into Pinterest and I started building a mood board for the product. Almost everything I do, all my stuff are inside Pinterest, and I call it a running man. So I gathered these images that looked and sounded like the brand we were trying to build in different ways. Usually whenever I'm picking stuff as a mood board, I do it in 3 ways. There's the neutral way, that's like the middle ground. There's a really crazy way, and there's the very underwhelming way. So I pick things across these 3, and I'll typically present them as 3 separate mood boards to the client. And then, depending on how the person is, they'll pick one of the 3. Either the person is very eccentric and they'll go for the highest one on the top, or the person is very conservative, like a typical Ghanaian, and will go for the middle, or the person will see the mood board and feel like, this thing will cost all. And then we'll go for the underwhelming one, because it looks like, well, that one doesn't look like a lot of work. So I usually just play along all these 3, just to have a sense of where the person is. Most of the time, what happens is they would come back and say, can we merge 2 and 3 or 1 and 3 so we can have a best of both worlds situations? That's the Oliver Twist in Ghanaians for you. They always want more. So that's what I did. Now, there were certain things here that looked great to me. And this is where the AI stuff happened. Traditionally, from this point, you are sketching original ideas, right? You're using your pen, your pencil to try and put things together, and that works. For a long time, there are a lot of people who have ideas but cannot realize it because they don't know how to draw, they don't know how to use Illustrator, they don't know how to sketch. So there's a new process to doing this. And I mean, some people say it's not so ethical, but then at the same time, inspiration does come from other people's work. So what I do is, when I find the ones that really shout at me, and when I say shout, what I mean is I don't have to look twice to see, right? And that's how I see like a design is shouting at me, and I can sort of see it clearly. So there were a few of them here that were shouting like, okay, it's us, it's us, it's us. I'm like, okay, let's go. So then from here, we jump into Firefly. So we're going to go into Firefly right now and start the process. Now, when you log into Firefly, this is what you see. Firefly does a lot more than what you're going to use it for today. But just to give you a quick overview, it generates images, it helps you edit images, it helps you generate video, it helps you edit video in the app. So you can generate the video, edit it in the app, and not leave. And it's completely web-based. It's not native or local to your computer where you have to stress your RAM and your GPUs. Everything is online. And they're trying to build a web ecosystem where you can have all the tools online. So for instance, there's a Photoshop web version right here, and there are other versions that you can manually add. So everything here sort of works together. So I can be working in Firefly and ship my product up to Photoshop with just one click, and up to Lightroom in just one click without actually leaving the platform. And when I pick up my laptop, I can continue from there. Pick up my phone, I can continue from there without actually leaving anything behind. So what we're going to use inside Firefly today is called board. So that's this guy right here. So once you open boards, you sort of create a new board right here. For this, we already created our board, so I'm going to use this. And this is where all the work happened. So from images, references, generations, logos, design, images for the video, and the video. So we did everything right inside here. We also did use this software, which is Higgsfield. We're going to come to that when we get there. So now let's start. So now I dropped these guys in. These were the ones that I liked for the photography, and for the video, these were the ones that I liked. Sorry, for the logos, these were the ones that I sort of liked. So I saw this, I was like, okay, let's see how this one looks like. And I had a look at this, and I looked at it, I was like, I like where this is going. I came here, I'm like, nope, not working. I saw this, I'm like, this became this. And I kind of like this thing right here. But I just felt I'd seen this symbol somewhere before. I just don't know where. It's either a music band or some type of app. It's Artlist. Is it? Well, whatever it was screaming at me that don't use me. And then I saw this one. And this one kind of looked good. I like how crazy it was, how simple and different it was, but I referred back to the brief and we're looking for something loud, something different. And so I came back to this and I was like, okay, maybe we're going to explore this one more. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to look at the prompt, and this is where everything sort of comes in. A lot of people think that prompting AI is so complicated. And excuse me, but no one should laugh. My prompts are very funny sometimes. And they're actually very ordinary, full of typos, all of that. So that's the prompt. All I said was create a logo using this font style and structure. See, I was supposed to say word. I ended up typing weld. Structure of the word and recap. And I got this. That was it. But this model was on the Nano Banana. Now this is where Firefly gets interesting. Whenever you open Firefly, there are two things at the bottom. There's image and then there's video. Now image shows you all the models you have access to. Now these are the Firefly native models from Adobe. These are partner models like Flux, Gemini, and ChatGPT, Ideogram, One Way. Ideogram is super good for logos and illustrations and things like that. But fortunately for me, ChatGPT released a new image model like 2 days ago, and it's crazy. I was such a fanboy for Nano Banana 2, and have not touched ChatGPT generation since that video I made. Because after that video, Gemini came out and I never used ChatGPT ever. So yesterday, when I saw it in there, I was like, let's just see what this does. And I was blown away. So I clicked that, and from the same prompt, this is what I got. So that's the ChatGPT version, and that's the Gemini version. So Gemini on the top, ChatGPT on the bottom. Now, what made me like the ChatGPT version was it came on a black background. Same prompt, but it came on a black background. So I know that Gemini was trying to do too much, but then it's fine. So once I had this, I went on a wild goose chase to see exactly how I could break it and do a lot of things. So we started by trying to use the negative space to put in someone running. And for this, the prompt says, use the negative space to depict a runner. Now, this part is where the context and knowledge comes in. If you're a designer, you know what a negative space is. You know what foreground and background is. So here, the prompting is based on how much knowledge you have in the crafts of what you're doing. But if not, you can just go and ask Claude, how many type of logos are there and how many styles of logos are there? And you just run through every single one and see the one that comes out great. So I tried the negative space version, and it was not working. So I kept trying, and I was like, you know something? I like this. It gave me this version as well, similar prompt. And sometimes, you know, with the AI models, once you click generate twice, you get two options, and they're never the same. So the options never repeat themselves. So I did a lot of them, and I eventually just settled on one. And that was the very first one. I came back, I'm like, okay, that's good. Now, according to the brief, you're supposed to have a monogram. So I asked it to create a monogram, and I tried multiple letters. So this one, I asked it to create a monogram based on the brand logo. It gave me AM. I tried it again here, and I said, let's do a version that says AMM, and gave me AMM, and this and that. But before I did all this, this is one of the interesting things that you can do when you get stuff like this. Because it's a typeface you picked online, you don't have the full body, whether it is custom made or not. So I actually asked the model to create all the alphabets and number systems based on this font. Now, because I have all the numbers, I can use that to generate any letter I want or any word I want, and it's going to be consistent because it has the structure. And that's the thing that made all the difference. Now, if I wanted to type anything, I don't have to have the font to type it. I can just say something like, where are the cities? Right. I can just say load. So you see it right here. Based on this font system, write Stackard. And it did that. No, you won't have it as fonts. You have them as images. If you want to go build into a font, there's another AI app that you can actually do that with. You can just cut out every single letter, you load it in as a vector, you export it, and then you turn it into a font. And that's a class for another day. So I'm looking for something. Right. Now, this shape came as a mistake. The awkward-looking Sankofa symbol. So this was the prompt. And this is why sometimes I like AI being a little bit messy. And that's what they call hallucination, when it sort of goes on its own tangent and thinks on its own. So the prompt says, create a logo based on this typeface. That means run. The concept is of a symbol from the Ghanaian culture that can represent running. And this dude said Sankofa represents running. I was like, okay, let's see where that goes. And guess what I did next? Where would you go from here? Back to Claude. So I went back to Claude. I put the logo in there. I'm like, yo, Claude, Gemini is telling me, wish I could find that chat very quickly. But it's somewhere here. I think I have so much. I read quite fast. Maybe I should be able to find it. Oh, that was way far back. Oh. I missed it already. Oh, I think I missed it. Wait, let me zoom out. I want to say exactly what it said. Got it. So that's it. So I'm like, how does the Sankofa symbol relate to running? And then it says, it's a beautiful question and an unexpected connection. Let me think about it. And it told me that Sankofa means go back together. That kind of verb is So who can read this for me? Hey, is that how it's supposed to be written? Either way. So it said that running as remembering, and now gave me some cool concept. And this is the type of this is the type of BS that sometimes creatives do. You know, like when an artist stands in front of an artwork and they start to talk about the work, and it looks so deep. I have a feeling that these days people will just be writing stuff on Claude or memorize it and come and say, this work is an epitome of Dex. When I conceptualized this piece, I was in a deep, deep place, stuff like that. But it works. So it made sense. It spoke about running as a remembering, and running can be therapeutic for some people. So that kind of made sense. The Ghanaian return, the motion with the memory, the Ghanaian story, and then it actually gave me more context and said that because the symbol did not look like the actual Sankofa bed, it had its own uniqueness to it. So I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm not about to debate with you on this. So what I did was I cropped it out so that I can prompt with this. And I just had the bird alone. So from here, I was like, okay, this can be our secret symbol. So I went back to do the monogram, and I ended up picking this as a monogram, and I placed everything here to see what it would look like. So this is actually 3 different files that I just added together just to create a simple lockup. And it created the bird in the same font, structure, weight, and curves as the main type. So the logo lockup was quite easy. Typically, if I do a logo that extrudes on the far ends, you would have to create some type of an extrusion in the icon so that it's sort of cohesive. But in this case, it did everything for me. And at this point, I was done with the logo. Oh, I think I used the ARK as the monogram. And the story behind the ARK is actually quite funny. So it was supposed to be the A, R, and K. The very hard consonant sounds inside the thing that sort of made it sound like, it was either AM, AMM. I'm like, nah, ARK sounds good. So from here, I'm done with the logo. What we did next was I took all the logos and I brought them inside Illustrator. Now this is where this thing makes sense, the Firefly. If I come to my generation history and I click this, I have access to all my Firefly generations right here in Illustrator. No copy and paste. I don't have to go grab anything. I just click it, vectorize it, and I'm gone. So everything was already there waiting for Daddy, and I picked them up, and I started sort of creating versions of it. So there's the main logo now, there's a word mark, there's the brand icon, there's a monogram. Now we created different versions. This is where the chapters come in. So Kumasi, Accra, Takoradi, Cape Coast, Tamale, Volta region, and we did the secret batches that it was recommending us to do, and ended up becoming these 2 symbols. So at this point, we're pretty much done with the design system. We have the logo, we have certain things. But then what happens next is, after you're done with a brand system like this, when you really have to design, there are certain design elements or design assets that you need to expand on the brand. Now, for some people, this could be things like patterns, this could be things like copywriting, this could be things like imagery and placement of imagery or some special effects that you add. So typically, once you are done with the logos, now you need how to apply it across the multiple touch points of the brand. So what did I do next? Went back to Claude and said, yo, let's expand on this. So let's see where that was. That is here, downloads. Wait, give me a second. Did it create as a separate system? Okay, I think it did not create as a separate system. So I think after I was done with this, we picked, this is where we were discussing what letters we should use for the monogram. And then we started going through different versions, option A, option B, and this made sense because AM sort of felt like in the morning. So if you're a runner, I was like, that sounds nice. But then this brand, people run anytime they want. So AM would alienate the people who run in the PMs. So it did not fly. And then there was AK, there was AMM, and there was M, and that was it. And I think A and M infused, and I was like, you know something? We're going to go with ARK. And that's what I did. So from here, I think the next thing was I gave it all the logos, and I was like, here are the logos, the main logos, and wordmark and monogram is ARK. And I was like, oh, wait, this is genuinely good. Oh, please. Yeah. And I was like, the wordmark is distinctive, blah, 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 and started going into all of these things. And then it came up with this idea to make the arc make sense. And this is what I like about Claude. Claude doesn't really gaslight you as much as ChatGPT, actually. So it didn't like the arc. And it was like, what's confusing? Arc doesn't stand for anything in America. So what if we make arc, we say arc means America Running Club. It's trying to justify it because it just doesn't want to take my word for it that we are going with ARK. And I said, it's not going to be ARK club with a K. It's going to be club with a C. And I'm still going to use the ARK. And there's nothing you can do about it, Claude. So that's what I did. We just kept going, and Anna's recommendation, they asked me to scale some things down, and it's like for tomorrow's workshop. So we were done. Now, this is the prompt I did. It was like, what do we do next? And I said, not yet. We need to come up with a design asset system to create a world in which these items exist. Now, that's what I was talking about. Usually, once these assets are generated, you now need to create a universe in which they exist. And the universe is like a community. There are plumbers, lawyers, workers, like everything. So we need to create a system or a community in which all of these little elements are going to exist. And then we ended up creating these. So we created this pattern system, and they recommended using the route lines, stride marks, radial rays, and the option they chose was the radial rays. Now, the radial rays was pulled directly from the bird's tail. And I thought that was quite genius. So I went back and I took a look at the bird's tail. And I'm like, this actually does look like something that could become a design asset. Because when you cut down the tail to this point, I see a lot. So what I did next was we ended up using the tail to create these really interesting maps of the city. So we did Accra, and you can see the tail right there. We did Takoradi, which is kind of looking like the bird itself. And we did one for Ghana. We did one for Kumasi, and we did one for Tamale. Now, these became design assets that we used to design other things. And once we're done with this, we'll go back to have a look at the designs again, and I'm sure you'll see how everything sort of comes together. So now that we're here, I'm like, that's nice. And okay, yes, again, the prompt. The prompt says, create an abstract topographical map line of Accra using the tail of a bird as inspiration without showing the bird. I did not want to see the bird, and it came up with this. That was cool. So what I did next was just swap out the name Accra, Tamale, Takoradi, Cape Coast, everything else, so on and so forth. And we ended up getting all the systems that we had. So from here, we are done with that. The next thing it was recommending was, where's the stuff? Yes. The next thing it was recommending was the numbering system. So the numbering system was the number thing he spoke about. I completely scrapped that. It wasn't something I wanted to get into. And it gave us a chapter system as a stamp. So when I saw the stamp, that's how we ended up getting these guys. Because of the stamp idea. And I was like, okay, that's a no-brainer. And the next thing we did was the photographic overlay, putting it in the corner, putting it in blocks, the number overlay, typographic hierarchy, headline, subhead, body labels, and it gave us a whole idea for an icon set. At this point, I was neck deep in the photo generation, which is what we're going to do next. So it also came with the merge lines and sound systems and everything. So here it goes just beyond the actual visual assets. There's also verbal assets. There's copywriting stuff in there as well. So now let's take a look at, let's do the photography and come back and take a look at how they all come together. Okay, great. So from here, we started to work on the photography. Now for the photography, I'm also going to share with you guys a deck treatment, which is another prompt that helps you to create something like this. Now, it's a really simple process. This describes exactly how all the photography for America is going to look like. Once you have the prompt, you can plug in the exact same details you did with your brand, and you're good to go. You're going to have a really detailed photographic system. And based on this, it created all the prompts. I did not have to give it any prompts. And what it did that was super genius was it creates a purpose. And then it created characters that would play in this universe, right? Because we are creating an asset for the world, it ended up creating characters that would play. So it gave a cast. So the regulars, so this is the comeback woman, late 30s to mid 40s, size 14, and it's talking about the build, the backstory, what they wear, the detail, the vibe. The second version is the quiet architect. The third version is the couple. And then there's a tier 2 character set. And now there's a cool kid, the aunties with attitudes, the artist, and there's a tier 3. Now there's the serious runner, the family, the diaspora visitor. So it's been able to map out all the types of people that could exist in this brand's world and has used it to create this particular treatment. And then it says the hero visuals go here. It gave us the campaign moment, and it's even dictating what type of camera we are using, the 85 prime lens, the medium shot, slow shutter, because in the previous document, we wanted to get motion blur. And it understands that if you want to get motion blur, you need to have a slow shutter speed. So it did that as well. And from here, we just went straight into creating the prompt. And these are the images that we created. Now, this is where the prompt gets a little crazy. Let's look at the first one. Now, that's the prompt. It says a black and white editorial photograph of a Ghanaian man running at dawn, shot in profile, heavy motion blur, streaking behind him, his body mostly sharp but softened at the edge, and we ended up getting this shot. Now, the way Firefly works is the image you're seeing here is actually low res. You only get the full version after you download it. So most of the time, if you make your judgment based on what you're seeing here, you might think the image is not good enough. But after you download it, you get a high-res file. So for this, I think the model that I generated this with is, okay, so this is the ChatGPT 2. And with a prompt, you can choose between 3 versions. You can do the low fidelity, you can do the medium and the high. And you can choose between the landscape, square, and portrait mode. And we run the prompt, and we ended up getting this. Now we run the second prompt here, a very similar one. We ended up getting this, and we run this prompt here. Now, there's a part where I'm sure you guys are wondering where the Ghanaian sceneries are coming from. Now, that's one thing that you also have to notice, that if you want to place your objects inside a certain place, you need an actual reference. So I went on Google, and I just got these references. Now, there's a simple trick I do to get high-quality references. Let's say I come to images of Accra. I would usually go to More, go to Tools, go to Advanced Search, and I'll come all the way down here. Here that says, where'd it go? Okay, Format. Wait a minute. Aha, Advanced Search right here. Wait a minute. Where's the image size icon right now? That's strange. Did I skip a step? I have to go to image first. Wait, it's here. It's inside advanced search. So this is it. And I'll choose like 10 megapixels. So now it's going to give me 10 megapixel images of Accra. And you can now start getting really high quality images instead of just going to image and just dragging what you get. Because when you're prompting and you want to use references, the more details there are in the reference image, the better. Also, when you're about to actually, right after this session, we're going to pick some few volunteers, turn them into runners, and put them in a poster. So I hope you guys are ready. So, just for the reference sake, is the time running out?
No. So they say they want to take 10 minutes break. Fix the things at the back. So just leave it into your...
What's the...
They want to take 10 minutes break to fix the Firefly logos and stuff.
Okay, it just came. Yeah. All right, okay, do it. Wait, how about the live stream? How about the live stream? They're going to pause it. Okay. So that's how I got all these locations. And then the locations ended up inside the shots, like here, like here, like the Akosombo here, the top of some mountain here, and this local really cool mom here, and these shots here, the one University of Ghana right here. And to be fair, I really don't mess with ChatGPT images, but the new image 2.0 is crazy. It's really good. And just look at that, right? And this is a combination of this image and this one. So we're going to, and I also use the post office because I like the vibe in the post office. When I saw the red blocks, I was like, this would be nice if you see a runner sort of pass by. I ended up putting them inside all of this. Ed, you can go ahead. You can go ahead, yes. We're going to take like a 5 minutes break to put some stuff at the back, and then we'll come back to this very quickly. But then whilst you guys are doing that, I can still be talking, right? Right, so we're going to read some of the prompts where you pick a reference and then you match it. Because sometimes it's the reference matching that confuses people because you don't know how to let the AI know that this is a reference and this is not a reference. What's up? Come again? An actual break. Okay, they want an actual break where people have to actually get up and go out, right? And talk to each other. So let's actually break, let's actually get up, let's actually buy some snacks. Yes, and once you come back, I'm picking 2 models. I mean, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, so 4. Then you guys are going to end up in posters today. And we're going to see how that works. All right. What time are we supposed to close? Huh? What time are we supposed to close?
I think in about an hour.
Oh, they're almost done. Oh.
You guys almost finished. Answer the regular questions.
Yeah, because I finished the photography side, the video, finished. How did it go so far?
Oh, yeah, so far it's solid.
Elaine?
It'll just be like the questions now. Now, at least, now we went at the
Into Dada Finaba.
It's a flat board.
Let us see them.
Let me just do the Adobe ones. Make us too much.
Oh, but I found. K1. I found. How are you?
Dex Labs. Oh, it doesn't matter. Once is the other. Yeah, once is the okay. This one will become. This one will go away. Back on that. Oh, I mean, this is showing. It's fine.
How did it go so far? How did it go so far?
The white shot
Is it good? Is the taste good?
You would think that it's adding in the people's minds at all. But with every switch, every this thing you do,
It didn't make sense.
it makes sense. It's like, it's just like you play game.
See how everything will connect.
Charlie.
But I'm just another guy, obsessed with my morals, concerned with my liberty. Options overflow, I'm not gonna lie, there's a change in my energy. Praying I never go down. If I step down, toes my apologies. Everything could have been lovely, but I'm just another guy, If I could, you wouldn't tell me to sacrifice it all. But I'm just another guy, If I could, you wouldn't tell me to sacrifice it all. But I'm just another guy, the money I want. Give me day one, get the crypto, dollar city safer. Call me, let's talk, and I'll go see you later. Lucky champion, then no fit to bring come. Down with them now, in the final boss. 1,000 bullets to my body on form. Samurai swings, what a situation. But when the money long, you know fit to take come with a particular. Obsessed to my moral, concerned for my liberty. Options overflow, I'm not gonna lie, there's a change in my energy. Rain, I never go down. If I step on toes, my apology. Everything would have been lovely. Just another guy, If I could, you wouldn't tell me to sacrifice it all. But I'm just another guy, If I could, you wouldn't tell me to sacrifice it all. But I'm just another guy, If I could, you wouldn't tell me to sacrifice it all. But I'm just another guy, If I could, you wouldn't tell me to sacrifice it all. But I'm just another guy, November to November, me I don't mind no calendar. Come on, let's ride, I'm a running man. Higher than life, no challenger. Trace my love for the charisma. Chasing those no scavengers. Nasa me just city ball in a K won't ya see on a seminary say. When you wanna chili fork, I want 3 bomb to say one on a seminary say. I know the tire no evidence. I gotta chill, I gotta relax. I know the tire no evidence. I gotta chill, I gotta relax. Hold on, I'm a pop star. You know, I'm a pop star. The most dynamite star. Can't you see the lifestyle? Hold on, I'm a pop star. He knows I'm a pop star. The most dynamite star. Can't you see the lifestyle? From the mud boys, no handouts. Serious on boys, no self-doubt. Dangerous choices, but I'm in love with time. Dreams of shoveling dough. I did my part, my Rijatan in 94. I did my part, my Rijatan in 94. Sem kuma wa treni dominance. Nasa me just city ball in a K won't ya see on a seminary say. When you wanna chili fork, I want 3 bomb to say one on a seminary say. I know the tire no evidence. I gotta chill, I gotta relax. I know the tire no evidence. I gotta chill, I gotta relax. Hold on, I'm a pop star. You know I'm a pop star. The most dynamite star. Can't you see the lifestyle? Hold on, I'm a pop star. He knows I'm a pop star. The most dynamite star. Can't you see the lifestyle?
Big bricks, me nigga search, it's a big bricks.
Only 100.
What's my SH? I'm swaying Big bricks, me nigga search, it's a big bricks. Most of my section numbers, and the family for that prayer, Johnny 6-6. I can't lie. From a broken home, magic penthouse. And fuck around with me niggas out. When if you don't tell what deadline. Yeah, shit, it get it ugly. This straight, me to me as in the channel, I go call it. What's my trapper crazy? What's in this room, my nigga, sick of my papa money. Tell my boy, I'm a swag. I'm in my winning season, all them is stay holy. Another time I used to pray. Move on patch and I hope on the glory. Big bricks. Me nigga serious, shit, big bricks. Most of my yes, such a number, son, and the family for that prayer, Johnny 6'6". I can't lie. From a broken home, magic penthouse. And fuck around with me niggas out. When if you don't tell what that
on your bullet or your counting machine. Magic bread, me look me my dream. Share my swag, me the drip is lean. I saw the back, move o'clock, Oliver. Bokotana, major fan, Sawala. Top a top, so with you, Mboliga, Salaga, Mokoha, or from my
Hello, hello.
Stress him, one put them a flexing. I will enemy number. Ever there, test him, shut the belly. Took, stomach directions. Boys with the sofa get erection. Them no be hard niggas. Me and my killers. With the screen triggers. You're in the panam. I said we be Draculas. Only 100. You know, go see we for your binoculars. For me, thing, man.
big bricks. Me nigga serious, shit, big bricks.
Okay, break over. Break over. Go and sit down. Go and sit down.
From a broken home, magic penthouse. And fuck around with me niggas out. When if you don't tell what that
No me want the checkbook. I'm the only artist that you can't book. And your mommy be so now you can't look. I was sick, me living, go and let the next go. Take risks, get rich. Eyes on my left wrist, my life is full of blessings. Feeling like the next Chris, no healing after breakup. I'm moving to the next pitch. Lay out to the jelly, man, I swear you know me can't switch. Take risks, you have to know. Take risks. Only when you get the big break. Girls want money, not the big dick. Pussy nigga, why you care about a pink lip? Get rich or die trying. The pain, I'm done crying. If you're giving out money for a coach, that's buying. The truth, I'm not lying. Then not. Most of my Jimmy clients, I'm done time.
big bricks. Me nigga serious, shit, big bricks. Most of my yes, such a number, son, and the family for that prayer, Johnny 6'6". I can't lie. From a broken home, magic penthouse. And fuck around with me niggas out. When if you don't tell what deadline.
Move.
It's the global.
Okay. Welcome back from the quick break. Music. I did hear the music. You go feel. How are we feeling? Hey, move for me. Are we learning something? You are learning a lot. I hope it's not overloading you too much. You should overload more. You like the overload, so you should add more. Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we are going to continue. But I just wanted to say, if you are here and you are not following us on social media, please check out the Dex pages. Like our content, share the live stream to anybody you think this can be beneficial to. The link is on the YouTube page. So do that as well. And feel free to also share when you post anything you are learning, tag us and we'll reshare it as well. We need some engagement from everybody. Yes, tag us and Adobe. And there's actually something to give away at the end of the day. Okay, so please engage. You like giveaway? Engage. You get giveaway.
Since you've said it, I was keeping it for later. But some people are going. I think you should have seen it in the.
It's in the video.
Ad. It's
Yeah.
in the video. Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get. Some people actually, not one person. Some people are going to get free Firefly accounts.
Yes. So please engage online. Forever. Is it forever?
You're asking. How am I supposed to?
All right, Charlie. So we'll give more details on that later.
More details on that.
So let's just get into.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Now.
The comments are active now. Oh, okay. So it's open to also the people watching on live stream as well. So if you are watching live,
I'm trying to
also engage.
I'm trying to leave like an hour for questions and answers. Is instead of just answering the questions, we'll demonstrate the answers. As long as your question can be proven right here, we will just do it instead of just answering like that. So,
all right, cool. So if you are online, be part of that. You can drop your comments and questions, and we'll route it to Cleopas after that. So, yeah, enjoy the part 2.
Okay, so from this part, someone during the break brought it to. Oh. Okay, about the prompting thing for the photographs. I did mention that Claude did all the prompting. Now, it started as this. Give me a prompt for the 5 photos based on the images I shared for the photography. No text, just images that capture the vibe. This prompt sounds so much like it's AI written, right? No text, just images. That 2 phrases. Right, but then it started giving me these prompts. Now again, this is where domain context comes in. After it gave me the prompts, I went back to run these prompts. And I didn't quite like the results. So I came back and I was like, okay, let's rework the elements of the prompt. Because I have domain knowledge in photography, I said camera angles and lens choices. Some of the images do show a heavily distorted look like a fish eye, tilt lens. Like it should show a heavily distorted look like a fish eyes and tilt. This is supposed to be a tilt shift. And then I said tone and feel. Some feel high energy, gritty, grungy. I think you got that right. Some are very dramatic, dynamic and dramatic. We will have to feature real locations in Ghana. I'll provide a reference for these locations. And then we got this particular things. So now that it has these contexts, it's able to now give us much better prompts. So now we get to this point where it gives us the location reference. So this is where I would switch and put the name of the location in there and add the image of that location to get the final results. So it gave us the motion blur prompt 1. It gave us the second prompt. I still didn't like this though. It gave us the third prompt. It gave us, and all I do is I just do copy. I come into Firefly. I go to image generation. I do paste. And then I give it a reference and I hit generate. And it's loading right here and it's gonna come in. So that's the whole process. But then I refined it further. So we went on and on and on. I was like, okay, issues. I don't think these are fisheye lenses, right? I gave it this one. I was like, yes, because I made a mistake. I was actually thinking these were fisheye lenses, but fisheye lenses are below 10 mm and they have a very circular distortion. But I wanted a wide angle lens with 0 distortion. So it actually corrected that, okay, these are actually ultra wide shots. They are not fisheye. And then we rewrote the prompt to give us the ultra wide shots. Now that's how we ended up getting shots like this. And shots like this. And shots like this. And also shots like this. Right? And shots like this. All those shots came from the exact same prompt structure and shots like this as well. So let's go back to the prompt engine and it kept going. I was like, okay, I gave it more. I'm like, okay, now let's go back to photography rules and apply these to create new prompts that sell the story like we did. Hero shot campaign, graphic members, poster community, and I gave it a good reference for community shots. And I'm sure when you look at this one, it kind of reminds you of this one. Great. So then we went through it, started running the prompts all over again, and I noticed that it was making it look too professional. And that's why we got these ones. Now, these look like professional runners. But from the brief, this is not a club for professional runners. It's a club for the everyday person. So when we came back and I was like, the running club isn't for professionals. So no professional or branded running costumes. Wrong spelling. We're looking at running costumes also, but for everyday runners. So it ended up giving me these things. Like, okay, do include plain t-shirt, basketball shorts, hoodies, zips. Now we're giving it more context. Now we are still refining the photography at this point. It kept on going and kept on going. Now it gave me new versions of the prompts. Now copy, paste. Now this is the part where you waste a lot of tokens, right? But then now with this prompt, if I give you this prompt now at the final stage, you're not going to waste tokens because I've done all the wasting for you guys. So thank you very much. You're welcome. And then it still went further. And I was like, okay, one last thing. This is a cool club. So as much as ordinary people are in, we need to find some cool characters. Let's have some people have tattoos, jewelry, funny hairstyles, and let's have a really big woman trying to lose weight. Some who are I'm just trying to capture the idea of the community, different types of people. Again, based on the prompts, because we had 3 tiers of the audience demographic. Each tier had 3 different unique people. So referring to the prompt and the brief, we are still coming back to expand the world. And then we did, and this is where it came up with a cast. So we created the cast from tier 1, is referring back to the prompt at this point. So tier 1, it did tier 2, it did tier 3. And it gave me the cast map to the 5 shots, and the prompt came again. Now, copy, go back into Firefly, and then you paste. And that's how we got all the images. And then, now that I was comfortable with what I had, I will ask it to create a photography treatment document so I can lock in the instructions and re-upload the instructions back into the project as a knowledge base. So whenever we have to generate photography from this point on, all I have to say is create a new image of somebody running here, and it's going to refer to the photography document, choose a tier, choose a character, give us the prompt, copy, paste, remove. So now that we're at that point, who wants to be a model? Let me not choose, please. Okay, come on. So we're going to use him. Let's give him a round of applause. Let's see. Nah, come here. No, just look at the camera. I just need to get your face. Yeah. Do you want to become buff? You want to become all right. Get another one. Okay, who else? Can we get a lady, please? Oh, you can come on. All right, come on. Let's get a shot. All right. Beautiful. Did you blink? Nah. Charlie, pink lips like that. Hey, fresh boy. One last lady, please. What? It doesn't matter. We can make you smile after. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. And just so you know, your data is safe with me. And this is... And just to give you peace of mind, Firefly does not train on your local content, ever. None of your faces are going to end up in some images somewhere someday. If someone looks like you probably gave your image to ChatGPT. Don't quote me on that. Okay, so now we have good reference images. What I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the images into Firefly. And we're going to turn them into superstars. Where is the airdrop? This thing is not trying to copy itself. Let's see if I can paste them in here. Oh, that's the wrong one. AirDrop never worked when you need it to. Oh, got it. See how all the text is not coming in. Let me find another way to add these images without exactly. Okay. Today, did it work? Oh man. Who has a quick way of how to get these images off the phone into the computer? Image capture. Like copy and paste. It's an app? Show me how to do it. Let's give it up for the hero. Right.
Open your go to image capture. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Click on it and then open your phone.
Ah, that's so cool. Wait, where's it going to show up? It's not done here. Why is it important in video? That's a good question. Oh. So just this. Yeah, that's where it should go. Oh, I see. That's where they are. Okay, now that's these guys. We need to get them as images. Drag them inside Firefly. And they're in. Ooh. Okay. Now, let's say we are going to use this to create So now that I'm done with the prompt, it's going to attempt to refer to the document that we made. And this is why I decided not to actually prompt a lot today. Because when I did this exercise yesterday, I actually spent over an hour waiting for prompts to generate. And it did not make sense for us to do the whole thing here if half of the time we're actually going to be looking at the bubbles beeping like that. So I was like, okay, no, that's not going to work. But then let's switch gears. We're going to wait for this to generate. We're going to pick some of the old prompts, just modify it so we get our characters. Great. So let's go back to the labs and let's see this one. No, look at the cooler one. Aha. Let's see if we can get a group shot of all of you like this. So I'm just going to load in the prompt. Now that's the prompt. So the area that says subject, that's the area we're going to work on because this time we have multiple subjects, right? So in the subject, we'll just say a group of 4 Ghanaian friends. Oh, I missed one A, didn't I? Ghanaian friends. Reference section. And I'm going to pick here and use him as an image reference. Click image, sample from canvas, use her as an image reference. Click again, use him as an image reference. Click again, use her as an image reference. And let's give them a location. Let's say here. And then again, last image reference that way. So we have all of them. Now for the location, where did it go? I did delete the location, right? Okay, now we have that. We're going to run it two ways. We're going to do one with ChatGPT. We're going to do the other with Nano Banana. So, because we don't have time, I'm tempted to do a medium resolution so it doesn't take too long. So we're going to do a medium for this one. And then we're going to switch to Nano Banana 2. Now, this is what I like about Nano Banana 2. This option here that says use Google search allows it to gather more context about the thing, right? So it goes online, it says, okay, University of Ghana, library. It finds out more information about University of Ghana library, adds to the reference photo, and gives you a really good photo. So I'm going to choose a wide screen, and we are keeping it at 2K resolution. Now, this is where things get interesting. The higher the resolution, the closer it would resemble the person, and the more realistic it will look. So we're going to just do 2K and then see. Well, since we are waiting anyway, I might as well just do 4K here, go back to a image 2, and just test out a high version. And whilst these are loading, we're going to do the individual prompts for the other heroes. Looks like this will look really good on you, won't it? Yeah, I can see the vision. I can see it, I can see it. So, again, I'm just gonna load in the prompts. I wonder if Claude is done with the prompting. Whoa, 8 attempts. That's crazy. Claude is going through it today. I don't blame him though. So we're gonna pick this one up and load it in, get the image of him. And I'll say the subject as shown in the reference photo. And I'm just gonna hit here and add it. Wait, no. I think it changed. Load again. Of a young Ghanaian man. Also, when you say reference image 1, reference image 2, image 3, image 4, it knows it in that order. So if you want to be specific, you can say reference image 2, reference image 3. There are other apps that give you more control. I would show you another one, but for now, that's what we're going to use. And this thing is still generating. That's crazy. So use as image reference. Now we have him. Ooh, this is not so cool. Well, we are going to move on. We'll probably come back later, and I'm sure it will be done by then. So with the same process, that's how we got all these images. So now we're going to go back into the Canva and see the final process of how everything came together. From the logo, from, this was ChatGPT, right? Or Gemini? Wait, ChatGPT, yes. And the images, the copywriting came from ChatGPT, and now the bird wing became a symbol, and the brand mark itself, the multiple different brand marks that came out of it. And this is where I broke the rule, because it said we shouldn't have multiple pop colors on the screen. And I said, yeah, right. And I added all the colors. So these are the different chapters, so the secret logo on the different chapters. So this one has Accra, this one probably have Kumasi, this one probably have Tamale, and then I just will run. And the color palette, which came from it, and the fonts, which was what it suggested, the Bebas Neo and Mr. Defoe as a security script font, and used to make set images, wake up, lace up, show up, and other things like these. And I can see the shape, the map in the back as a design element right here. And you see this one, Kumasi, you see this one, run loud, run proud, and the dream is under your feet, literally under your feet. The logo is right under her feet. And now this one right here, and this one, and that one, and then we are done with the work. Beautiful. We would wait to see if it's done now, but if not, we're going to just go straight to the, oh, it's done. Ooh, let's see. I want to put it right next to your faces, so, okay, right here. So option 1, blow it up. Oh, no. Okay, so there's one thing that you have to also remember how to do. You have to create a wardrobe for them, right? We did not specify the wardrobe, so you just put what we're wearing. You guys are not runners now. You're so off-brand. But this is ChatGPT. I feel so bad to open Nano Banana, but please don't let me down, Nano Banana, please. Oh, Nano Banana did his thing, right? Did it? Nah, man. Wait. Hold on. You see, as a photographer, when you shoot from below, the light is behind you. I would say that Gemini did not have a reflector. ChatGPT did. But with context, both images are right. You just need to add some invisible things like a reflector, because this makes sense from below. All right, let's look at the other ones. We did a similar version with this from a different angle. Now you guys have different clothes, and the last one is still loading. But for this, I could just pick you up, drop you in a poster, and my running club is real. Can you imagine if you guys didn't exist? Hey, relax. Okay, but then from here, we did all the photography bits. We did multiple versions. And then we went to the video. So we're now about to do the video part. Some people missed the video, so I'm going to play the video again, and then we're going to jump back into the video making process so we can see that. And that for me was the fun part. Now, someone said something about the videos looking AI. And yes, they do look AI, but I was not about to spend a lot of money to make it look real. But it's possible, and I'm going to show you how. So let's go back and look for the video, and I think it's right here. So this is the video we made with the thing. Wait, is this switching back to the speakers? Gospel, the audio is not working. Ready?
Run.
And that's me saying run, by the way.
Wake up. Run.
That is so groovy. Then it says, your dreams, you're under your feet. Oh my goodness, no. Yes, so that's the video. Now, the video part, surprisingly, was the easiest part, right? Because we already had the photography rules, we had everything. So we went back in there. And the thing about making AI videos is you really have to start from making the images first. If you film, you know that a frame is 24 images, That's why you get a 24 frames per second and stuff like that. But every scene is an image. There's a formula that we call first image and last image formula for generating. And there are also other models where you can just pick one image and it becomes a lot. So we're going to look at the individual versions. Now from this point, I was switching between Firefly and Higgsfield. So these are the two different apps I was using. I'm going to show you why. So for instance, Higgsfield has these two features that I wanted to try out. One is the CDANT 2.0, and the other is called Cinema Studio. And then from there, we went into an app called Suno. And Suno is where we made the music. And the prompt for the music came from Claude. Makes sense? Right. So let's start with the images. We'll finish the images to video. We'll come back to Claude. We'll sing some songs into my phone, put it in Suno, download it, put it back in DaVinci Resolve where we did the editing, and get a new version with different sound. Maybe somebody here can volunteer their voice to create some nice, groovy music for this thing. Right. So we'll give you money, Charlie. Boys love money. So I think at this point, I was trying to figure out whether I was going to make multiple videos or just one. I think I ended up choosing one. But I'm looking for where the prompts would be. Here, it's asking me on the different types of like stories we should build, like the live one and everything. So I was like, okay, give me a concept for the whole thing. We're going to go all the way down to here. Ad 1, the dream is under your feet. That's the ad. So an ordinary Ghanaian man wakes up before the world, goes for a run. The run becomes cinematic. He summons at a high point, raising his hands like Rambo, wakes up, it was all a dream. Looks right, sees his running shoes in the open wardrobe under a poster. Your dreams are under the feet. That's just what we watched, right? Yeah. That was it. So it starts by describing the shot. So this is the prompt for the shot. So 0 to 13 seconds, the dude is sleeping, 0 to 3 seconds, the bedroom before the lights, the wake. Sorry. So first prompt, this. And again, I asked it to give me the ideas. I chose one. I asked it to generate the prompt for the shots, and it gave me the prompt. So I'm not being complicated at all at this point. But because we've built the brief at the beginning, everything it does still fits under the brief. So this is the first prompt. It gave me the second prompt for the second frame. It gave me the third prompt for the third frame, stepping into the street frame, the first stride frame, FPV transition, the drone lift, cinematic profile, the climb, the summit, the wake up, the look, and the wardrobe reveal. All 13 frames, and the final frame was the logo that appears at the end. And that's literally what I followed. Come again? Oh, could have done better, of course. Claude always does better. It definitely could have done better. But this is the point where your own taste and timeline comes in. If you have like 1 hour to build something like this, you're good to go. If you have 1 day, 1 month, 6 months, it's really garbage in, garbage out. At this point, like I said, I'm not giving it much thing. And they gave us 5 concepts. We chose one, we run with it. So depending on what you're doing on your own project, you can keep pushing it and not accept what it gives you out from the first try so you can get multiple versions. But it was a very simple, brief concept. And what makes it better is now the type of shots you create. Because although it created the prompt for the shots, there were some parts where sort of shifted things a little bit, and then I'm sure you'll see what that looks like later on. And then it gives you production notes, so on character consistency, on the dream versus reality match, the Rambo Summit on the poster side, and everything like that. So let's look at this thing right here. I want to show you one image from here that would put some few things in context right now before we move on. Where'd it go? Where is it? Okay, it should be somewhere here. Right, so something like this is like a character sheet if you generate something like this, it allows the AI to know different angles of the subject you're using from the left, from the right, from the top, from the bottom, so that whenever you're generating, it stays consistent. So that's one trick in making sure that you have character consistency. Just create a character sheet, and it's going to use the character sheet to know what the profile view looks like, what the top-down view looks like, what the worm's eye view looks like, and stuff like that. And looking for one last part. Right, I think this part. I wonder where this image is. I'm looking for this image. So this is the last scene. So for this scene, the image I originally got was this one. It just had your dreams are under your feet, generic. So then I came into Photoshop and I designed the version that we saw, which is, did I close it? Which is this one. And yes, I fixed it. It's no longer your. And then I saved this as an image, came back into Firefly, and then I uploaded it right here. And I said, swap out the poster in the wardrobe with the poster from the second reference image. Now, whenever I say second, it knows that this is first, this is second. And then we ended up getting this with my poster in the wardrobe, and this went into the final frame to create a video. So you can do the same with so many other things. Back in the day, you need to get a mock-up file and replace it. Now you can mock up with existing mock-ups. If you know what I mean, Behance will be a really good place for you right now. But I did not see anything. I did not see anything. So from there, I pick the prompt, I come in, and then I get it done. Now you guys notice there were some shots that were slow motion, that had an orbit. Now that's where it gets tricky. That's why we had to bounce between two different platforms. So from Cinema Studio, they make it super easy by creating these things they call presets. Now the presets give you these clean looks. So for instance, here you see it says documentary snap. So this is what gave the other shot where he was running and the camera is shaking. It's just from this preset. Now there's the impossible camera. This is where the drone thing came in, like an FPV. It dove down, followed the guy, came right in front of him. So all these presets are there. I set a start frame and an end frame. I choose a color palette. I come in and choose a color. For this, I was doing 35 focal length. So this part, the prompt always dictates the focal length you have to use. So this is the part you have to take your time, pick a focal length, pick the type of cinema lens that you want. And this is where people went, oh, this looks so complicated. But yeah, I mean, you have to do it. But you're literally just copying and pasting, and just switch things up and down. So once you're done with the thing, you just hit generate, and you start getting things like this. So this is the thing. And it also comes with sound. And I'll show you something else. There were lots of the shots that you would have to pick certain parts. So when we go into the resolve, you will see that not all the generated shots made sense completely, especially where he was wearing the shirt. You would see the shot was going through his arms and stuff like that. But this is another example for the thing. So this one, we had the orbit shot in here. So it's all just one clip. And the prompt was young African man jogs and steps in the puddle. It goes into a speed ramp, and the camera does an orbit shot around the shoe and the splash. Now, if you film, you know that an orbit is when the camera moves around, like the way the Earth orbits, the moon orbits the Earth, and the Earth orbits the sun, stuff like that. So then you get this. I didn't like it because I was expecting the thing to transition from the top shot to the bottom shot, but it creates a cut, and then it fits in the second shot. But I made it work because I wasn't going to generate another one and spend more money. So that was another example. This is also another example of the intro shots. So for that, this is the prompt. The camera slow pushes in on his face, 85 prime, shallow depth of field, slight upward angle, subtle continuous pushing, and all of that, and then you just hit create. And for most of these, I'm either using C-Dance 2, or I'm using the Cinema Studio. Now, Cinema Studio also does have C Dance. So this is the C Dance right here, and this is the Cinema Studio 3.5. The C Dance does not give you the presets of the camera motions, but you can prompt it in as text, and it will try to mimic it. So that's where we did most of the stuff in here, and we had all of these really interesting, shots. Some of them were very, very, very crazy. So for instance, this shot is where he was lacing his shoe. So all of that was one shot. It wasn't even like a transition I did. So at this point, I had done a lot of the images based on the prompts we had. Now the prompts that we got from Claude became images first, and that's like super important. Now at this point, the quality of your images will dictate the quality of the video. So most of the images here, I intentionally just generated them half resolution and not full resolution. But if I had to, you would get some shots that look really detailed, like these ones. I think I may have to just open the images itself so you can have like a good look at the shots. Let's see, the shots themselves. So like these are some of the images that came out of the thing. So the character consistency was great, and I just added in this dog for sugar reasons. Right, so now this image in Firefly looked quite blurry, right? But right here looks like, okay, this is actually sharp. So, and all these are half resolutions. If I had to go 4K, it would look even better. And if you want to make it realistic, this is where Magnifique comes in. Because if you do an upscale of this image in Magnifique, it adds all these imperfections and skin textures and pores, sometimes wrinkles and pimples, and all of these little things that makes an image look more real. But Magnifique is expensive. So once you get it, it would take your realism up onto the next level. So now we have all these images. Now we come in here, Higgsfield, we do part here, and I also did part in Gemini. So most of the Gemini images were, the Firefly images were like these ones. Now this is what I was talking about where I said the images were looking funny. Now let's see what happens when he tries to wear his shirt. But he finally wears it well, right? And a similar thing for this one. Right? And the final scene where he wakes up was so weird. Oh, that's the intro scene, actually, not the final scene. I think the final scene, he woke up in a really weird way. Yeah, it was this one. I was like, what? What kind of, like, it wasn't that type of dream, you know? and then there was this one. This was a little okay. Like, I just woke up and smiled, like, what? And I said, nah. And again, these prompts are coming from here, right? So these prompts come from here. They go into Firefly. They become static images. I load a clip like this. I do first image. So for instance, in Firefly, I did not use the Cinema Studio or C-Dance. I used Clink. Now, Clink is a very capable model. It's not the most realistic model I could have used, but just yesterday, they also released Clink 4K, which is pretty good. And that's how they get our money. Because the next day, the next one comes, and this is Clink 3.0. This is the one I used. Sorry, this is Clink 4K. And you can already see the realism in the Clink 4K, but it also costs a lot. So if you're looking for that realism, this is definitely the model you should try out. I would say right now, the competition will be between Clink, C-Dance, it would be LTX, and Ray. These four models are doing really well when it comes to realism. But most of the time, you have to combine them because there are some shots that you can get here that you can't get here. So you still have to end up getting all the subscriptions to be able to get all the things. But if you do, your work could be just beautiful. So at this point, we've generated all of the images, sent the images to Kling or to Higgsfield, done the first frame, second frame thing, added the prompts we got from Claude, and we finally have our images. Now, the next thing we do is we sort of look at all the images and see what they actually look like. So for here, we're going to just preview all the raw images we got straight from the app. So we have this. Also, the AI is only able to generate maximum of 15 seconds shots. So you need to make sure that when you're planning a shot, you're thinking within 15 seconds, which is also good because right now with our goldfish attention spans, I think 15 seconds does make sense. Sometimes even 5 seconds. So I'll cut quickly. So I don't actually need all the 15 seconds anyway. But this is one example. This is another example where he woke up. It didn't make it because it looked like I was looking at his wife. Like, nope. But the ending bit made it. And this version, you've already seen this one. And this version, we've seen this one already. And this is the version with the speed ramp. This is actually good. And another version where he wakes up and looks at the opposite direction, which wasn't bad. I just didn't like that the poster was already there. I wanted to really convey the idea of a dream, so like a little bit of living between reality and the dreamland, so it sort of appears magically. So I didn't go with a realistic one. I went with the unrealistic one, because that's what I wanted. And him lacing his shoe. This was too calm, so we did not use this one. It didn't look like he was going for it. I actually preferred this one. Oh, he appeared from the gates, right? Oh, shit. And there's this version which we ended up using. This could have been much more realistic, but this is generated at 720p, which is like a quarter of the resolution. If I had pushed this into even half the resolution, like the one where he steps in the puddle, that was a 1080p generation. It would have been much better. And this is another shot of the puddle. The leg just appeared from nowhere. And someone is drinking the water where we can see. And again, for some of these things, you do have to help the AI because Claude will not be as specific as to where you need a speed ramp or you need a slow motion. This is what we call bullet time and stuff like that. So there were points where I go back and inserted, I want a drone shot here, I want a PV, like a POV shot here, I want an FPV shot here. So that's where you need to sort of fill in with the context, like your knowledge in that particular domain. And there's this one. And then there's this one where he's just sleeping calmly. See him. And he's not being real, please. And where he's doing Mr. Incredible things here. And this one I did not like, so didn't make it. And the dog. So whenever it switches, right? Whenever it switches mid-frame, this is what's happening. You see there's shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4. You're able to add a prompt per shot, and you would give it a time. So right now it says shot 1, 15 seconds, shot 2, 15 seconds. Sorry, shot 2, 3 seconds, 3, 3, 3. If I take this up, it would say max, because the max is 15 seconds. Now I'm sharing 15 seconds across these 4 shots. So in one go, you can generate 4 shots. Now this is very unique to Kling. The other apps don't have it. But there are other ways you can also do that with the other apps. So at this point, we have all of these images, and we'll go to Resolve to put them together. So at this point, like I'm thinking, okay, music. So I come in ChatGPT, and where's the song thing? I wonder where I put the sound thing. That's it. So what I did was, go. Let's look for the prompt. Yes. I think I did this first. So Suno turned a typical Ghanaian high life song into a high energy running song, Afrobeat Amapiano. And then it gave me this script. So I copied all the scripts up until like this point. And I went into Suno. Now Suno is where we made a song. Now I'm about to embarrass myself. I don't often do this to have people hear me sing in public. But for the purposes of education, you guys are not allowed to judge. Yes, this is a disclaimer. So, I had bomb voice in the background. So now this is me testing out different songs, right? It started off from here, the stride fufu pound. Now when I click on this, you see the prompt was loaded in right here. That's the prompt here. So when you come to create, you can either add lyrics or style. Now with Suno, the lyrics is also a prompt. For instance, if I add the lyric that says I am running, and I do into brackets, kwa humming, it would sing I am running as if a kwa was humming. But it goes in the lyrics. It doesn't have a separate prompt engine where you prompt here and put the lyrics here. So you put the lyrics there and you describe how you want that sung. And that's where if you're a music person, it gets very easy. So you sort of arrange the music according to the lines that you want. So I did the first version and we got the palm thingy. Where is it again? That's it. So this is the first track I got. And that's what I used. So it was sounding pretty good. I was like, okay, this is not bad. And this was like in like 1 second or 5 seconds, it was done. So I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, let's see another one. And I do a second one. It's similar but it's shorter. I'm like, okay, let's try something else. So I do a third one. And then I do a fourth one. At this point, I was like, this thing could use some ad-libs. Something that could sound like the thing. Now, this is why I embarrass myself again. So, this place should be quiet. Laugh in your stomach. But I sang it to the phone and I uploaded it. So this is what I did. Oh my God.
Run. Recap, run.
And then, after I did that, I added that in as a reference song into the thing. And then we ended up getting, what's the name of the song we used again? Video 3, the one with the palm trees. Palm trees. Oh, trust me, I've made so many songs, you have no idea. Right, now this is what we got. So I took the original song, the very first beat I liked, which was the palm, was it an Accra palm wind? No, it wasn't. Yes, Fufu Stride. And then I'll hit this and do create a cover. So now when I say create a cover, it picks the bass instrumentals, and then I can add audio onto it. So then I added the audio onto it, and we ended up getting, was it this one? Yes, and we got this. Wake up. And we ended up getting the song.